It is Friday, June 13th. Happy Friday the 13th. I'm Geoff Schwartz. That is Matt Ford. We are back. Geoff Schwartz is smarter than you. I think, Matt, it's been like a month since you've been on, I think. Maybe because you were in Vegas, then we took a week off, but glad to have you back. Before we get going here, um, I was asked about Los Angeles because I am from Los Angeles. My parents live in LA, but I live in Charlotte now. How are you doing? Did the armed forces come save you from your Santa Monica house during the uprising we saw last week for 3 square blocks of Los Angeles?
Yeah, we're good. Thank
You
you for
can
asking.
you can
Uh,
ignore me at your own wits. Okay, buddy. I had to say something. I don't do it on social media. That's all I'm going to say. But guys, Los Angeles is very large. Okay,
what's
the
so crazy to me
rest
is
of
that
LA is fine.
people just seem to really not like it. Like the national sentiment towards this city, which is one of the great cities in the world, just seems to be so down. Like I feel like there's so many people rooting for it to be bad. And I don't know. If you feel that way, like whatever your
Yes,
politics, like why
and
would you want that?
it's because so what's interesting about that, Matt, Colin Coward actually talks about this often. If you listen to Colin, of like he always says, like, guys, everyone's moving here still. Like, what are we doing? What nobody inside Los Angeles or in the surrounding areas feels the way the national media does about Los Angeles. Um, every time I go home, I feel safe. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't understand it. The weather is incredible. Yeah, it's expensive, but a lot of industry that we rely on in this country is in Los Angeles. California is what, the fourth largest economy in the world.
Yep.
It just seems silly to me how much people dislike California. I was talking to a buddy. He's like, we were discussing the legitimacy of the National Guard being federalized. We won't talk about that here. But he made the comment like, no one would protest in a red state, and then like a day later, there's protests in Florida and Texas. Like it's just that people just assume that those quote unquote bad things only happen in California, and I don't know why. I don't know why, Matt, because everyone I know that moves to Los Angeles, you moved, Gabe moved, other people I know moved. They don't leave. And I know work is in LA, but you could do work in New York. You can work remote many places. You don't have to be in studio every day to do your job. Um, so I don't get it, man. I don't live there because it's expensive. I don't. It's not because I don't like being in Santa Monica. Santa Monica's incredible. Yeah, parts of downtown LA aren't great. I happened to scooter in the Super Bowl in with the Rams, and
One of
I
my
told you this
favorite
story, right?
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I happened to scooter through Skid Row, okay, by accident. It wasn't on purpose. I realized immediately I made a mistake and got out of Skid Row. But even Skid Row, 11 p.m. at night on a scooter, like no one was attacking me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so silly. So I don't get it, man. But for some reason, uh, people don't like Los Angeles in the national media sometimes. But that doesn't always represent how everyone feels.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. Just don't don't be an asshole. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of people who are really scared right now about all kinds of things. Like let's just be nice. Let's just do that.
Did
Let's
your
or at
did
least
your
not be
parents text
mean.
you? Were your parents like, "Are you okay, buddy?"
Not actually, no.
Okay, good.
There's been a lot of like general just like, oh my God, like what is going on? But not like, my mom's been here enough to know like, you know, what happens in downtown every day hardly affects it. I mean, so many people in the city, wherever you live. Um, but we actually have a mutual friend coming to LA next week, and that person was very concerned about everything, and I was sort of like, no, like you're gonna be fine. Um,
Mhm.
so, but
Hey,
that's
I'll
what
guess I'll guess
media
mutual
does.
friend concerned off air. Because
Yeah.
yeah, I think I have an answer. But that's enough of our political talk. You did veto in our text message exchange Middle East relations, so we'll skip that as we as we move forward to the National Football League. I also, for those who are curious,
Dancing through the raindrops over here. Here we
I,
go.
I'm live wagering the U.S. Open, so we'll see how that goes. I haven't made any wagers during the show. I don't think I will actually. I'm doing one specific thing. I'm wagering on like a hole that everyone's having trouble with today. So when you're bored and don't have as much work, Matt, you wager on the U.S. Open. So if people are ever curious about what glamorous life I lead, that is what it is.
I'm proud of you, buddy. Speaking of people who were bored and needed something to do, Aaron Rodgers signed with the Steelers. It finally happens. It happens during the middle of a Twitter fight that had everyone's attention a few weeks ago. And seemingly, I don't know, like towards the end of OTAs, which I guess sort of makes sense. He just didn't really want to be a part of that. Fine. Um, the takes have really diverged here. Like there's been a fair amount on both sides of people being like, this actually kind of could work. Like his stats last year weren't bad. And then there's the other side of just like, hey, now you're introducing a really toxic person into, a place that hasn't had good quarterback play in a while. Where do you land with one of the most, I don't know, least surprising signings of the year?
Well, congratulations, he's newly married, so that's important to note. I guess that's why the holdup was as long as it was. Look, Matt, I've said this about the Steelers for so many years, and I think it applies here. Um, what's the plan at quarterback? Because you have to think long term at that position. And the Steelers only think short term. They think quick fix. They
Yep.
think what can I get away with now that makes us feel good inside, instead of having some uncomfortable conversations in the facility about how to get that future quarterback. So they haven't won a playoff game since 2016, and ironically enough, they beat the Chiefs in that game, and
Hmm.
they beat them by not scoring a touchdown. They won, I believe, 18-16. And after that game, the Chiefs said, you know what? We're trading up for Patrick Mahomes, right? That was the next draft because Alex Smith had done a good job, but couldn't get over that hurdle. They won one playoff game, I believe, under Alex Smith. We lost in 2013. I think it was 15. They beat the Texans. They lost in 16. Like, it was clear Alex Smith had sort of a ceiling, right? In 2017, obviously, they didn't win a playoff game either. It was sort of like the ceiling of what he can do. And I think in 2018, like they just didn't win playoff games, right? It's just like not what they did under Alex Smith. And um, and so it was 2017 was the last year because Mahomes started in 18, won the Super Bowl in 19. Um, and they just were bold with it, right? And the Steelers, we're going to be back in the same spot, Matt, on June 13th. Really, let's go backwards. We'll be in the spot April 13th next season, next year, 2026,
Yep.
saying, who are they drafting at quarterback? What are they doing at quarterback? Because at the best this works out, you might win a playoff game, possibly. Not only the division, we talk about we'll start in August, matter or division previews, right? We're gonna start doing that. Every division winner we pick will be the best quarterback in that division. Plain and simple. That's how divisions work. Lamar's better than Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Burrow is better than Aaron Rodgers. Now, obviously, Joe Burrow needs a defense, and we'll talk about the Bengals in a few minutes. Um, but the point that I continue to make with Pittsburgh is this is just 1 year fixes. The best this works out, you might win a playoff game. The worst, you don't go 500 and it's a wasted season. Now you've wasted another year of TJ Watt. Cam Hayward's on his last legs, right? Like he's getting older. You've wasted years of young offensive linemen. You wasted a year of DK Metcalf. Like you just, it's a refusal to just acknowledge, Matt, that, hey man, we got to either be bad or be bold. And they're not doing any of that. So to me, this does nothing for how I feel about Pittsburgh. They're going to win 9, 8, 9, 10 games, and they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs, or maybe they squeak one out on the road, at a better team. Like if you go division winners, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, and Texans, right? Who's Pittsburgh going on the road to beat in any of those playoff games? Nobody. Nobody. So I just think it's another signing that just patches over the long-term problem they have, which is they haven't found a quarterback. And look, you want to argue, well, they tried with Mason Rudolph. I don't know. He was the only quarterback drafted in the first round in a quarterback year. Is that really trying? Like you took the worst guy in a year. Like that's not a good quarterback year, Matt. So um, I I think we're going to be back in the same spot. Rodgers is going to be, I don't know, fine, I guess. He's not bad. It's just you have to bring, everything that comes with him is part of the signing, right? Like, is he still doing the McAfee stuff? Is he still doing media? He's gonna jab with, with media and teammates and coaches if things don't go well? So to me, those are all the concerns I have. But I think to me, it's like just a net neutral in the end. Like they're not going to be better or worse. They're just going to be the team they've been, which is status quo. And honestly, for a team that's a franchise that's won 6 Super Bowls, not good enough.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't agree more. You look at what's crazy to me is, they've been riding this same formula forever, which is we have a great coach, we have a great defense, we have a really highly paid defense, and they're going to carry us, and our offense just sort of needs to get us close, and then our intangibles, everything else will sort of take care of it once we get deeper into the playoffs. And that formula worked when Ben Roethlisberger was a rookie, when Aaron Rodgers wasn't even in the league. Like that worked. That formula was good for the 2000s. Um, but it hasn't worked lately. And then what's so interesting to me is you look at their team, their contracts in the next year. So TJ Watt, he's holding out. He's a free agent next year. They have Fitzpatrick for another year. Hayward's 36. He's only under contract for another year. And then the rest of their defense, like there's a lot of old players. There's some nice young players, but even then, like Joey Porter, they're going to have to extend next year. And then on the offensive side, it's DK Metcalf, who has never really put together a season where he's been a top 10 receiver. And they have, Freiermuth extended out till 2028. And that's kind of it. Like they don't have a lot of other options. They don't have a lot of depth. They don't have a lot of developmental players that they're gearing up for anything. So my honest take here is I think this is sort of, I think Tomlin had to have made peace with this by thinking the fans and the coach, like the ownership, they don't I don't think have an appreciation for him anymore. There's been this sort of like maybe Mike Tomlin needs to go feeling that I think has sort of gotten some buzz in the last couple of years. I think they're all just sort of saying like, hey, either we're gonna have like a miraculous season and Rodgers becomes the guy he was now, what, 4 years ago, or we just kind of wipe this thing and just start over because that's
Yeah.
kind of where it feels like they are.
Yeah, but the wiping the things the slate clean, like again, they just haven't really seemed like they want to do that. Now, of course, it just takes 1 year to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like I, I mean it one off season to do that, and maybe it's this off season, but man, they just seem to not really understand where they're at as a team, and it takes a little fortitude to make that decision. Like the Chiefs changed their entire franchise history, their history of the Chiefs by being bold. And I'd rather teams be bold than do nothing, Matt. And so
Yeah.
I'm always going to root for that. And I know it's a standard that's probably not fair to hold up to everyone. But that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's sort of two models. It's been go all in with your young quarterback and see how far it takes you, right? Like that's my team's doing that. The Texans did that. The Patriots are trying to do that. The Chiefs sort of did that, even though they were already pretty good. And then there's this other thing that's sort of like the Bucks 2020 strategy. Like we've got the team, now we just need the quarterback. Like let's just put a quarterback in the microwave and just figure it out. And I get the attempt, but what I found kind of interesting was the Steelers said that it's been reported that this was actually their third choice, right? Like they were interested in re-signing Fields potentially. They tried to get Matthew Stafford. That was their first choice. That never really seemed likely. But the fact that they've already kind of put that out there was kind of jarring to me. Like they didn't maybe necessarily like go to the press conference and say that, but the fact that that came out already, to me means that I think Tomlin maybe is trying to create a little bit of space, or somebody in the Steelers organization is trying to create a little bit of space because look, like this guy kills teams and coaches. Like he just does. I mean, it's what two of the last three functional seasons he's had, he's ended up, causing a coach to get fired, or maybe 4 seasons back with LaFleur. So I don't know, man. It feels very much like Mike Tomlin has invited something really chaotic into a very stable
Yeah.
thing. And I feel like he's probably at peace with like, hey man, if this doesn't work, there's going to be like 30 teams that are going to want to hire me, and probably one that has a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is he's hoping that um, that the Steelers franchise and sort of the Steelers way, right, is going to be able to overcome any sort of issues with Rodgers.
Yeah. And if there's one team that can probably do it, it's probably the Steelers. But I just don't know what that ceiling is. And you mentioned Baltimore. We're going to talk about Cincy in a second. It's a tough road. And, if Aaron Rodgers I think people are looking back on his season with a lot more fondness than like actually was warranted. Like he was not a top 10 quarterback last year.
No, no, no.
There's people who say like, well, like I've heard this take, which is pretty interesting. Like, you've had these quarterbacks come back from injury and then a year later, like, Tom Brady and I think like 17 or 18 they come back and then, they're so much better. And I think that that's very wishful thinking for a guy who's coming into age 42, right? Like
Yeah.
he was the MVP in 2021. 2021. Like, think about how long ago that was in terms of literally everything in the entire world. But in terms of football, like I mean, Jaden Daniels was like a sophomore. Like, that's how
Yeah.
long ago that was. So he has so much, it's been so long since he's really been effective. So I don't know, man. I wish them all the luck in the world, but I think they're gonna need it.
I think teams get seduced by what happened with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay with the perfect storm. And also like Darnold, right? Like 1 year, just like the best of the guy has in his career, and
Yep.
and it's going to work out that way. So I think both of us. I don't know if I'm willing to bet the under 8.5. I feel like I've been killed on that many times now, but I feel probably that's probably what I would like to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Wonder what missed the playoffs is. That'd be a fun one to do. We'll look at that. Why don't we talk a little bit about their division rivals, the Cincinnati Bengals,
yeah,
who are in this incredibly weird moment where they have this standoff with Trey Hendrickson, the NFL sack leader last year, who's wanted a contract now for 2 years. Like last year, it sounded like he played through a contract dispute, had a great year. Now he's still holding out, for a contract for this coming year, but they also are having an issue with their first round pick, who in theory would be the succession plan for Hendrickson. And the situation has gotten kind of weird. I wonder, have you been paying
yeah,
attention to like the specific
yeah.
dispute
I
here?
I have. All right. So this is what it seems to boil down to. So let's go back to 2011. All right. We had a new CBA in 2011. I was in the NFL at that time. And if you recall, one of the things that made big news with that current collective bargaining, with that collective bargaining, not current now, but that one in 2011, was the rookie wage scale, right? Because rookies were getting like $70 million guaranteed in the immediately being drafted. And that was obviously at that time, I think more than like a starting quarterback was making, like Bradford was making more. So the NFLPA wanted to put in this rookie wage scale that that did two things. One is it obviously capped the pay, right? It gave them a wage scale, capped the pay. And two, it gave basically uniform language to easily sign your contract. Because before the rookie wage scale, you would have guys holding out into training camp, fighting over bonus guarantees, bonus structure, injury guarantees, injuries, but like all these little minute details that matter to us, but might not matter to the average fan, obviously. And you haggle back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And what the rookie wage scale did was say, look, here are uniform contracts. Here's uniform money. Just sign the contract. And it was mostly for first round picks for the law of the language, right? Which basically guaranteed first round picks all or most of their money. Okay. And what's funny is this year we saw, I believe, pick 33 and 34, the first two of the second round, got fully guaranteed contracts also. Now, that a lot of times is up to the team. And what's interesting is other leagues, Matt, by the way, in their CBA, it doesn't say NBA contracts are fully guaranteed. The teams and players have just agreed that that's how they're doing business. Okay. So this new rookie wage scale and the format of contracts made it, and has made it very easy for teams just to sign players. Okay. You look at what happened last season, the money is raised, the contract is what it is. This is what you did last year. This is what we're doing this year. Signed dotted line, and most guys are signed by now. It's very simple. So what it appears the Bengals are trying to do is they're trying to put language in that says if Stewart has an infraction, like a suspension, or maybe a drug test that leads to a suspension, or there's contract detrimental to the team, we can void all the rest of his guarantees, not just in that given year, but the whole contract. Okay. Which was brand new language. The Bengals have not done this to previous draft picks. Now they claim this is language that other teams have put into contracts. Their agents dispute that. Okay. And it's quite simple. The Bengals are being assholes. Like,
Yeah.
like they're just being assholes. You drafted this player to be your new defensive end. Let him sign the contract everyone else signs and move it along. It's that simple, Matt. They're haggling over a 1% chance something happens that you've already budgeted for. You've already budgeted for paying this player. It's part of your cap negotiation. It's part of your cap in your building. You've already talked about he costs this much money. This is you budget him out for 4 years. It's so silly. It's a fight not worth having at all, Matt. And it's perfect for the Bengals because they've had an odd offseason. I think we agree on that, right? With the wide receivers that they might have paid a little too much to, but Trey Hendrickson, it just it's so unnecessary, dude. It's so unnecessary. And I just it doesn't make sense why they're being so hard on Stewart unless something else comes out that we don't know about. Um, but it seems very clear that they're trying to add language to his contract he's not had before. I said on Twitter that the rookie wage scale was supposed to stop this. People were like, rookie wage scale. Like, yeah, the language in the wage scale is part of the rookie wage scale. It's not just about money. It's about language and contracts that allows these guys to be signed immediately. Buddy, I was 7th round pick. I didn't sign till the day before training camp. That's the way it used to be. You sign these future contracts that allow you to practice. Like if you get hurt, you still get your contract essentially, right? But there's a split. You get less money. I remember my agent was haggling over. He texted me and he said something like, "Bud, I got you like two more." I was like, "Oh, $2,000 more." He goes, "No, $200 more." Like then, like that's the way it used to be. Like you'd haggle over just like cents, and that's kind of silly in the grand scheme of things, right, Matt? So they made everything uniform. So to me, it's just a blunder the Bengals have made that's really unnecessary. It's not necessary to do this, and I think they've just made a mistake in the way they've handled this.
$200. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I will
it
say
was great.
there's two parts of this the contract language that's very specific that I think are interesting. The first is you mentioned like conduct detrimental to the team, whatever. Like, what if he got suspended for a helmet to helmet hit? Like, could that do it? Like, I
Yes.
think that's one of those things where you're like, wait a second, that shouldn't void a contract. Like, that's crazy. So the other thing that's interesting is that's not part of the language in Jamar Chase's contract. That's not part of the language in T. Higgins' contract. And as a result, reportedly, I haven't read them, but the story is that the Bengals players are actually on Shamar Stewart's
Of
side,
course they are.
which is insane. Like this is a rookie who's missing camp. And I watched this clip this week of Ben Johnson talking about Luther Burden. He's been injured and hasn't been able to get out there and play. And he was like, it seemed kind of unhinged. I don't know if you saw this clip, but
No,
he
I
was
didn't.
basically like he's missing time. Like if you're in the training room, you're not getting better. Like, this is a problem for the whole team. Like we really want to get him back out there. Like that's with a guy who, that's not his fault. He got injured. With this thing, it's like the Bengals have this huge weakness on their defense. They just spent all this money on their offense, and now their two potentially best defensive players, who both are edge rushers, are both missing this invaluable time, and it's putting this huge cloud on the team. And it's possible for them to withstand this. It's June 13th. Maybe, come September, this will all be a memory. But in general, this is not like how the story of like the team that won the Super Bowl seems to start. And I just think it's crazy that the rookie holding out is getting the support of the veterans on the team. I feel like I've never heard before.
And well, because they someone and I feel bad. This has to be the guinea pig, but like he's gonna have to be the guinea pig for this. Like
Yeah.
it just sucks. Like I don't know. I feel bad for him. He should be celebrating that he's a
Yeah, he
Bengal.
should be out there
He should
playing.
be out there practicing, playing. Like, but that's this way these contracts are, man. Like it's and so. I wish him the best of luck. I do because it sucks. He's got to eat this for everyone else. It really does. But that sometimes obviously is life in the big leagues, and um, there's no lesson to be had here. It's just I hope he ends up being able to basically get right, like and get his money and move along, and also too like to be I just I like I don't know if you heard Stewart talk about the Bengals. He blasted the Bengals. This kid is 21. He's supposed to be the next superstar of your team.
Right.
And he's in his locker blasting you guys. It's such a bad look, Matt. It's such an unforced error. Just give the kid his contract and let him get him on the field. If you have regret about the deal, that's your fault as a
Yeah.
team. That is
Yeah, you
your
shouldn't have
fault.
picked him. Like it was a first round pick. It's not like you were stuck with this guy, with a third rounder or seventh rounder or whatever. Like this was your top choice. What a shame. I mean, I guess like what is he, there's a lot of big holdouts this year. We already talked about TJ Watt. Obviously there's two on the Bengals. There's plenty more. What is sort of happening now? Like what are they actually missing? Does it matter? And does it matter more for a rookie than,
Yeah.
TJ Watt or Terry McLaurin or
Yeah,
whoever?
yeah. So it matters a lot for young kids, and this is why. It's not it's not the physical part of it, even though obviously getting in the physical part is good because the speed of the game is a little different, but you're not in pad, so it's not really going to feel the same as training camp. But it's about the playbook, Matt, because what happens is you install the playbook in the first 5 weeks of the offseason program. That's like meeting time and sort of walk through and on the field time a little bit. And then when you get back to OTAs, which are the 3 weeks you're on the field, you'd normally start over again. You install it again from the beginning. So you reinstall everything again. And then at mandatory minicamp, you might do it a third time. You might reinstall the offense again for the third time because look, it's basically the start of a new block. You just go back to the beginning because the first day of mandatory minicamp is going to be base runs, base passes, and the second day will be third down and goal line and red zone. Like you reinstall everything, right, Matt? And then in training camp, you do it again for the fourth time. So imagine all those opportunities you have mentally as a young player to get in the playbook. And also too, there's a part of this. I'm sure you deal with this and people do it at their jobs. Like when you have a trainee, you have to teach them how to practice, what the drills are, what station are we going to? How do you do this thing? How do you do that thing? How do you work on your hands? How do you work on your feet? What part of the field do you go to you know to do this drill? How about special teams? Like all those things that I'm sure you would love to teach a young player. You can't do that now. Is that the end of their career? No, of course not. We saw in the COVID year, rookies came in just fine if they're elite guys. But for some guys, Matt, you need that experience. You need that opportunity to. I know I couldn't have been as good as a rookie if I was on practice squad if I just showed up, like did nothing in the offseason program and just showed up. I wouldn't be as good.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think too it just sends a weird message, obviously. Um, but yeah, I mean, I look, I think that the teams who have their rookies out there are better served. One thing that I am kind of curious about, Kyle Shanahan said something interesting um, the other day about how differently practices at this time of year being reported. I can pull it up now, but I found this to be quite interesting, especially because I don't know if you've seen this, but like a lot of people have been weighing in on Debo Samuel. There was like one rep at practice that he was kind of jogging through, it looks like, and everyone's like making fun of him for being like fat and slow, and it's just sort of like, sorry, it's June, like what are we doing? Um, but Kyle Shanahan said they used to not report people's stats every day and say who's ahead, who's back, whatever. You could just practice. And when guys play to practice that way, they don't get better at anything, meaning like if they're, worried about how many picks they threw in practice or whatever. Do you think that's a thing, or do you think this is just like coach defending his guys?
So, well, the Debo thing, like, isn't his thing like sometimes a little out of shape? Is that like some of the issue with him at times, like not being able to catch the ball and do things like that? Nonetheless, so the stats I see often are the quarterback stats, like what Shadur Sanders is doing in camp and whatnot. What it doesn't take into consideration is any of the context of any of it ever. Because first of all, the Sanders thing, and again, I've been very clear. I think Sanders will be the backup quarterback this season in Cleveland, but he's playing against the fours right now.
Right.
Sanders should be 7 of 9 with 4 touchdowns. Like that's what he should be doing. Okay. Um, so that's good. It's
Where
it's
he
good
can't get
numbers.
sacked, right?
Well,
Like,
correct. And there's also the thing where I see, people get worked up. Oh, he threw an interception. Okay, so what? Like, I remember someone told me a story that their coach told them that day, I want you to throw the ball down the field no matter what. No matter what. And that's the biggest point, right? Is that if you're a veteran player, you typically are working on something at practice. And no one knows what that is but you and your coach. So a quarterback might work an entire day on short throws no matter what, or deep throws no matter what. Or we're throwing to this rookie the entire day. Or defensively, we're doing this coverage the entire day and the offense knows it. Or vice versa. Like there are times when as an offensive lineman, like the defense has the pressure of the day. And by the fourth time they've run the freaking pressure, you're just in your stance, like it's right here, it's coming, like we see the pressure, like you know what I mean? Like it's so it's practices for a reason, right? You're practicing things that coaches want you to work on, but individually as an older player, you might be working on something. You also might have a day you ate too much the night before and you feel like shit and you have a bad practice. Like those are things that happen when you're 30 years old, Matt. So I think it's kind of silly that we get so cut. Now I understand that, in this day and age, there's so much information and we're so thirsty for information now that, sometimes I think that we just clean anything we can to get something out there in the public and we just eat the information up. But that's what he means. That's what Shanahan means. Because even like I would imagine that Shanahan tells Brock Purdy, hey man, today we're doing this in practice. I want you to do this in practice today. And I mean, and like that's what he does in practice, and that's his job in practice. So, um, I agree with Shanahan. I always take any of those stats with a big grain of salt. It's not my favorite thing the media does about practice, but look, I get it. I understand the reason why these are reported, though. I get why people report them.
Yeah, I mean, people are dying for the information, and there's a thousand. I was the other day looking. I was just fed some YouTube video that was like some fan breaking down reps at OTAs for the Commanders, and I was like, dude, you are literally just saying like, well, that's Zach Ertz, like, nice catch, and it's like, dude, you have no clue what you're talking about. And even the people who are paid to cover the team are out there, and they don't know what's going on, like you said, like. They're not worried about like Kyle Shannon's not worried about Brock Purdy. They just paid him, to be a top 10 paid quarterback in the whole NFL. They're not worried about whether he's good or not. But I do find it interesting, and it's one of those. It's like the best problem you can ever have is like the fans are so desperate for information. Maybe this, Thunder Pacers finals isn't doing it for people. Like we're all looking at the practice tapes maybe a little more
Yeah.
than we usually do this time of year.
Uh,
But I did find it interesting that, even the coach started to
yeah.
notice.
Oh man, I don't need the Thunder. I have a bonus bet on them. I have also on the Pacers like plus 350, so I feel like I'm okay either way, but it'd be nice if the old Thunder were to handle business. I am I'm I talk about gambling on the NBA. I need to remind me this next year. No prop bets at least the
Okay.
first game.
Okay. I like this.
I feel like now I'm in game four. I'm dialed in. I love my props for tonight. I was
Okay.
2
What do we
0
like?
game three. Okay, so if you're listening tonight, I like SG over 6.5 assists. I wrote this up for Fox Sports. It should be up soon. So the Thunder in game one lost, and they only had 13 assists in game one on 40 on like 36 made shots. 37. It's just terrible. 13 assists on 37 made shots is awful. Game
Wow.
three they lost. Okay, they had 16 assists on about the same made shots. Game two they won. I think it was 25 assists on 40 shots. And if you look at their team in the postseason, and specifically SGA, every game they've won, he gets 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 assists. Like because the ball is being passed around more, they're shooting the ball better, and they lost. Like they lost game three. It's a desperate game tonight. So I think SGA has a lot of assists tonight. I need to need seven, of course. Um, Miles Turner over 14 and a half points. He had nine against the Thunder. He was 3 of 11. His worst shooting game, Matt, since game 2 or 3 against the Bucks. He had 6 points. He was 1 for 9 that game. He had 23 the next game. He gets his shots up. Again, I love the zigzag spot. Like I took Caruso under 9.5 points last game. Like I took Chet over rebounds, like the zigzag spot, right? Where you take a player's hot, you fade him. Your player's cold, you bet on him, right? Like that's not every player, right? That's more for role players. You just target role players. And then Siakam under 7.5 rebounds. The number's too high. It's been over 7 rebounds only 4 times all postseason. And the Thunder have been better rebounding game two. And he had 10 or 12 in game one. He's had 10, 7, and 6. Those are my three wagers for tonight, Matt. How do you feel about those?
I like them. I think player
Dialed in.
props, they're not a market I usually play a lot in because
Well, you
it's
can't.
it's well that, and it's also risky, and it's they it's pretty much just even money on either side. But yeah, I like your read. Turner's had a nice series. He's
He's had, yeah, he just shot kind of terribly in last game. Dude, I'll tell you what. I know you've been. Did you wake up early to do Nick's podcast yesterday?
I did.
Yeah. I didn't. I haven't listened to. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. But NBA people are stunned about this series right now. Like it
Yeah.
is. It's a stunning result because OKC is 68 wins. I think it is like a legitimately historically great team. Like they're the best plus minus NBA history. Like a legit team. Now they're young, and that always is an issue in the postseason. But they were minus 750. Like
Yeah.
shocking so far, in my opinion. And the Pacers, it's one of the things too, where like when you watch the Pacers play, you're sort of like, I don't know, I guess. I guess they're, you know what I mean? Like OKC has moments you're like, oh yeah, championship team. And with the Pacers, you're like, oh, Matherin had 28. Okay, like sure, sign me up for that. Like, now, to be fair, the Thunder could use a Matherin. Like they could use a bench guy to give him 28 in a night. And Matherin might have zero tonight. Who knows? McConnell ate him up. I probably want to fade McConnell tonight too, I think. But those are my three wagers. NBA people, I imagine, are just stunned right now.
Yeah, I mean, couple thoughts on that. The first is like the Pacers and Thunder both kind of remind me in some ways of like of football teams a little. Like the Pacers are one of those teams where they just kind of have like a 20 different ways they can win. Like Halliburton could just go crazy in the last 3 minutes. Like they have, a bunch of guys who can shoot. Siakam has, been the second best player on a championship team before. They have the
Yes,
bench guys. They have a
that is
great
important.
coach.
Siakam has done that before. That is important to note.
Like they have a lot of ways, and the Thunder just have this like structural, like they just have 1,000 guys who can just all kind of do the same thing, and they're all pretty good. And they kind of like they both feel kind of like they watched a lot of Eagles tape, where it's like the Eagles can run the ball and kill you, they can throw the ball and kill you, they can run with the quarterback, they can just win a game on defense by blitzing you, they have a great secondary, like they kind of feel there's some commonalities there. But I do think that this is something that I haven't really seen a lot of yet. This happens actually with the NFL every year with like two random teams. Like this year, for instance, you love the 49ers. So does Vegas. Vegas has the 49ers at like what 10.5 is their win total. And every logical part of your brain is just sort of like, well, that's crazy. Like that can't possibly be. And any team playing a 7 game series in the finals should not be minus 750 ever. Like I just don't understand. Like there's some difference between how the gambling community sees this, and it could just be like, the amount of exposure they have to Thunder futures versus the amount of Pacers futures, which are probably zero that they have, that they're probably trying to get some more Pacers money just to kind of break even. But I just think that there's like a split in. This is the only time I think a bettor can actually have an advantage is when you can like use your eyeballs and just say like this seems crazy to me. Like maybe there's an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's when you I think have a chance. And I don't know. I feel like every game I look at the number and I'm like, I guess I need to bet the Pacers again. Like,
Yeah, like they're being OKC is I think 0 for 8 against the spread on the road in the postseason. And they're
yeah,
6 point favorites again tonight.
yep, yep, they are.
I haven't bought off my futures yet for the Thunder. I mean, obviously, see this thing about having a little bit of a bankroll, Matt, is like I could just bet Pacers money line till I'm even, essentially. Like you know what I mean? Like that's not a like I could just take my profits that and just make $0. Like if the Thunder go down 3-1, I could just bet the Pacers money line every game till I make my money, essentially, right? Like just break even. I could do that if I wanted to.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't want to. I'd rather just win the Thunder future. Like that
yeah,
would be
fair
nice.
enough.
That would be nice to do. All right.
Can I tell you something about this that's
Yeah.
related? So I was in New York last week, and
Congratulations on the awards, by the way.
thank you. Thanks. We won an award, a synopsis award for Kai Cenat's project we did, and for Tom Rinaldi's show Sacred Acre. Everyone should check that one out. I had very little to do with either. The so I was in New York, and a friend of mine had one of those referral codes to a book that I hadn't previously bet with, He was like, "You're here, like I get whatever $50 if you deposit, like, do me a solid." And I was like, "I don't know, I don't, it's the finals, but like I was really busy. I wasn't really even watching the games because I had so much to do in New York." And then I got to the hotel I was staying at for game. What was the one the Pacers won? It was game one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to the hotel and it was they were down by like 15, and I read my emails for 10 minutes, and now they're down by like five. And I look at the sportsbook app and I'm like, they're down by five. Like what are they? They're probably like plus 180 or something. Like maybe they were plus 500, down 5 points with like 10 minutes or 8 minutes left in the game or something like that. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So I go and I make my deposit and I bet this. I bet the Pacers to win 5-1. I put in
Nice.
$50. I bet 10. Win the bet. And then I go, okay, I'm cashing this out.
You
I've
can't cash it out.
No, I can't. I did.
Oh,
I
wow.
deposit. I got my refund or whatever they call it for like what I actually put in, and then I'm like, great. Now I have a $200 bonus bet that I have to burn before I leave, or I'll lose it. And I forget about it for a few days until I'm literally taxiing on the runway at JFK, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to bet this now. Like, what am I gonna do? So I've decided to take the Thunder at home for game two money line.
Nice.
They're like minus 700. And then the French Open women's final is on, and it's the second set ends, and I'm like, if I want to get any good odds on this, I need to bet on. I'm going to bet on this. So I
Okay.
go back and forth, and I end up betting on Coco, who ends up
Oh,
winning. So I ended up turning 50 into like 400 because of this one idiotic moment where they're down by 5 points and the Thunder are still like minus 600 to win the game. Like, I just don't understand like what is going on with the books where they cannot think logically about this Thunder team. Like they are viewed in this historical context. They are not a historically great team. They're down 2-1 to the fucking Pacers. Like, what are we talking about?
so obviously, I'm just cribbing this from Bill Simmons, but this very much feels like the Mavs Heat thing, right? Where the Heat were like this dominant team. Now the Heat had LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, which the Thunder do not have.
Correct.
Um, okay. I uh I wish I could like blur out Chet Holmgren on my screen whenever he plays, so I don't have to watch him play. I can't do it. The softness, I just can't.
He gets
It
blocked like 15 times a game. It's insane.
it's like the Angel Reese thing. We're like, how do you get blocked so much? You're taller than everyone else. Like, how's it possible? How would you get blocked by someone smaller than you?
Yeah.
You're 7 feet tall. Hold the ball in the air.
Yeah, Miles Turner is working him, and
Oh,
Obi Toppin is
jeez.
working him. It's crazy.
You know what's crazy? It's also crazy about the internet. It's like you could just like watch like people shoot missiles at each other. Just open on the internet. There's no like I don't know. It's crazy. The internet. Just I was listening to social media for a second. It's just I don't even know how to. I don't. The thing about it is, Matt, it's not. I have to like eventually, teach my kids about social media, right? Like it's like that's I like I got to teach them how to what not to watch, what not to see, like what not to look at, what to ignore. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
don't
yeah.
worry. AI will tell them what they need to
Oh,
believe in the next
jeez.
3 years. So we're
My
cooked, man.
oh, dude, my son graduated elementary school last week.
Congrats! It's
How about that?
fantastic.
That is like kind of crazy.
It's very crazy.
He's yeah, good for him. All right. Anything else, buddy?
I don't know.
Are you watching US? You watch a US Open? You do the US Open?
I don't really watch golf. I think that is a luxury of time I do not presently have.
So it's
I
one of
did
those
go to
things.
Vegas. If you want to talk about that.
But quickly, though, there's only like 8 guys over par. Are you one of those people that's like wants the course to win?
No,
No, I'm with you on that. I mean, it's dumb.
course
Okay,
to win. What are you rooting for the blackjack dealer to win? Like,
exactly.
that's just absurd.
It's absurd. All right. How was Las Vegas, sir? Because I purposely did not text you all weekend. Like, I made a conscious decision because I didn't want to like, bro, what's up? How's it going? I
Yeah.
wanted to recap on here. I did text you afterwards. I knew you were with your friends. I was like, I'm not going to bother Matt today on his trip to Vegas. Um, Question I have for you.
Yeah.
So I will be in Vegas in July. I go, I don't know, every year, whatever, for different things. I have found myself the more I sports wager, the less I play the tables. Have you found that to be the case for yourself?
I do find that they're relatively mutually exclusive, but the jackpot is when you can have the game on while you play blackjack. Like you're sitting there and you've got a TV in front of you and you have a bet going while you're betting. Like that is just, and that is the best. But there actually is. I've found another layer to enjoyment in a casino.
Okay, what is it?
You're gonna laugh. It's the massage. I became a massage blackjack guy on this
Oh,
trip.
oh, they give you massages while you're playing?
I'm not looking back. It's a total game changer. You sit there, there's lots of different kinds of masseuses. I mean, they're all women, but like some talk, some don't. Some are like telling you like, hey, it's you should split your eights. Some of them are just don't even know what the hell the game is. There's no going back for me, Geoff. It's when you have the game on, the blackjack and the massage going. That's it. Can't be topped.
Interesting. I wow.
How much do you
I
think they cost? So
oh,
if you haven't been
how
to
long's the
Vegas in a
massage?
while, yeah, I did this in the Aria, I think,
Okay.
and in the Cosmo because then once I unlocked there was no going back. What do you think it costs? It's per minute.
Oh, at the Aria, I was gonna say like $20 for 20 minutes, like $1 a minute.
Yeah, it's $2 a minute.
Yeah.
So you can get a 15-minute really nice back massage for $30.
Sign me up for that.
I mean, it's incredible. Like, in what world are you turning that down? I feel like people assume it's going to be like $200. It's amazing. It's like the only cheap, like nice experience you can have in the whole city. It's incredible.
You know what I want to do? Speaking about head massages. So, have you seen these head spas where they just do like an entire experience for the head? It's mostly for women, but there's a
Like
place in
Face
Charlotte.
Gym or something.
It's called just like a Japanese like head massage place. It's not what
Okay, I
it's
don't know
not that.
this.
It's not that.
Yep.
But
Didn't say it
like
was.
they just like do like rub your head with shampoos and your face with stuff. They have this water thing I'd fall asleep instantly. So I
Yeah.
don't know if it's worth the money, but I would pay almost anything just to have my face and head massaged.
Yeah, dude. I think as I near my fourth decade or fifth decade, I guess, or
It'd be, it'd be,
40s,
it'd be your fifth, yeah.
yeah, I'm starting to say like, you know what? Like that extra $30 I spent on the massage from shout out to Betsy from the Aria, incredible. It was the highlight of the trip, you know? It's like
Oh
it's
yeah.
late at night, you're tired, you've had 45 Red Bull vodkas that day, like you need to unwind. It's the best thing. You got to incorporate it into your thing.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
Like I might get a pedicure this afternoon after we're done with
Love
this.
that for you.
And just like the 45 minutes I'm sitting there live wagering the US Open, probably the best 45 minutes of my day. It's just like it's a nice little treat, a nice little treat to
It's
have.
the best. Where do you stay? What's like? Give me your latest like sort
Vegas?
of yeah.
Oh, I well, I'm gonna stay in Mandalay Bay for work when I go. That's where I stay for the Super Bowl too. Um, but I like Old Town.
Really,
Meredith went to EDC and she stayed in at Circa.
Circa's great.
She loved it.
Circa and Old Town are different things. That's
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's Old
it's
Town.
there.
It's just okay. So, last thing we'll get out of here. So, when I think I had left Action Network at the time. Maybe I was still with Action Network years ago before COVID. It's like, and now we're gonna date ourselves all the time. Unfortunately, with like before COVID, it sucks. So, Action had a booth at the Westgate for March Madness, Matt. Okay.
Yes, I
And I
remember
forget if I was
this.
working at Action still or just got invited. But Blackjack was like, bro, you got to come to Vegas. So I was like, well, where do I stay? Like, it's late in the process. I decided to come very late. So he got me a room at the California Nugget, which I believe Derek Stevens, who owns Circa, also owns California Nugget. It was $40 a night, and it just had a bed, a chair, like a desk chair,
What kind of chair?
like a wooden desk chair, and and then
The
just
Golden Nugget is what you're talking about, right?
no, what no, it
Or
was
the California. There's a California casino or something.
it was the California one,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
which
Yeah,
is
oh
even
yeah.
worse. Which is even worse, by the
Uh-huh.
way.
Yeah, no, it's is across from the Circa, I think.
Yes.
Because we okay, keep going.
So, yeah, the California hotel is even worse than California Nugget. Um, and yeah, it's where I stayed for the entire
Look,
week.
I
Oh
don't
no,
want
no
to
oh
I
oh
don't want
wait
to upset
sorry
these
wait.
people.
I
Go
think it
ahead.
was no wait. It might have been okay. I'll take it back. I know what it was. I stayed at the Golden Gate Hotel. Even
Okay, that
worse.
hasn't even heard of.
Look up Golden Gate Hotel because it was right. That's where it was. I walked
Wow.
across the street. As
One
I stayed
Fremont
on
Street.
Main
Yep.
Street. I walked across the street. They had a breakfast place in the hotel in the Plaza Hotel next door. So that's where it was. There's a Golden Gate Hotel and Casinos where I stayed.
Man, I gotta tell you, dude, there's a lot of good places to stay in Vegas. I'm not sure that that would be where I would stay. We looked out at the California. Sam and I lived at the Circa for like a week last year, and we looked out at the California, and they had like a pool that literally looked. It's probably smaller than your pool, honestly, and definitely not as clean. And we would just like look out and be like, "Who's in that pool? Like, what's going on in there?" But I gotta say, I think there is a clear belt holder on the strip right now, and it's Cosmo. Like Cosmo is just where it's
Okay.
at. It is just
I
like the most fun. The dealers, every single blackjack dealer we had there was like funny, energetic, like
I
was saying
I,
stuff, was very
I
involved.
like
Like
it.
everywhere
I've
we
been
went,
Cosmo is nice. I went there in a couple years. I stayed there about years ago now in February. It snowed when we stayed there.
oh my god,
Yeah,
crazy.
it was very nice. Yeah.
It's the belt holder right now, on the strip. If you want to do the win, Mandalay is like kind of like its own thing. It's down at the end.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite nice. There's a couple of places like that where you're like, yeah, this was good. Like nice place, like all buttoned up. But I just am so impressed every time I go. I'm like, Cosmo is the spot. We stayed at Aria. Aria's fun, but
I'm looking right now at like the hotels in on the Vegas Strip, and I'm count which ones I've stayed at. Like I probably stayed at, jeez, I mean, all of them. I
yeah,
mean, I've stayed at TI, MGM. I've stayed at Mandalay Bay, Venetian. Planet Hollywood used to be Aladdin. I've stayed there. I've stayed at the Wynn, the Palazzo, the Encore, the Cosmo, Resorts World.
wow.
I've stayed at the Orleans, which is not even on the strip. The Golden Nugget, the Circa. I've stayed. Unfortunately, I've been to a lot of the hotels. I don't know if that's good or bad.
And one day we'll go back. One day we'll go together, Jeff. One day we'll have a
But
reason to go.
we have to. I mean, we can do it for work. I know you guys are working on stuff all the time. We can make it
Hey
happen. All
man,
right,
this is
Matt.
work.
We have been on for a while. I have to take my kid somewhere, so I enjoyed this. You texted me and was like, "Oh, we're going to talk about today. How can we do a show?" And we did an hour.
Yeah, so hopefully someone out there is still listening.
If they are, leave a review. That'd be great
Yes,
if you're still
please
listening
leave a
right now.
review.
I would very much appreciate that.
Yes.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week. We'll talk to you guys then. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks, buddy. See